growth is pointless if business can't navigate turbulent times. That's why we aim beyond the next quarter to power resilient business through the next quarter century, yielding new confidence in Africa's future and stronger sectors on her soil. So in this world of uncertainty, do you want a bank that talks sustainable growth or a bank that walks sustainable growth? See money differently. Nedbank Corporate and Investment Banking.
My name is Simon Brown. I'm here at the Nedbank Corporate and Investment Bank. We're talking their digital strategy, joined by two guests, Tishera Prasad and Kuteko Mbanda. Welcome both of you. Thanks very much for your time today. Let's kick off with you. Leveraging digital, why is it important to your client-facing employees?
Simon, I'd argue it's probably a little bit more than client-facing employees. It's probably everyone within the bank. I think we are finding great value in using digital. In your question there, you mentioned digital and client, and I think those two things are quite core to our strategy. I think obviously client being at the center of what we do, and the CIB or Corporate Investment Bank client is quite specific and quite bespoke, and technology plays a big part in helping us fulfill on their promise. So if you think about the CIB client, they're quite different from the personal private banking type of client. They're large corporations within the African space. The type of services and products that they need from us are quite bespoke and often very tailored to them specifically. How we engage with them is very different. It's not just about going to the branch or using a digital platform. It becomes more than just providing commoditized product. It is quite bespoke, and a lot of that is possible because of relationships that we build with the clients. So technology plays a strong role with our client-facing staff in helping us build those relationships with the clients. So it helps us, showcase and demonstrate our competence, right? In how we build our products, how we kind of tailor our services. Technology plays a strong role about that. In creating intimacy and knowledge about our clients. So the amount of data that we collect, how we synthesize it, how we make a sense of it and come up with great insights about our client that help us tailor specific products, tailor specific journeys and experience. Technology plays a big role in that. So I'd say it plays a role across our bank, but more specifically within our front-facing staff, because it is the face of our interaction with clients, and digital enables us to engage with them in a way that kind of makes sense.
And it is, and you mentioned it a couple of times, it is that bespokeness. If I'm a private client and I go into my branch, I need a credit card. Truthfully, that's the same process as all the people behind me who also need a credit card or maybe a savings account. In the CIB space, every single client is going to be different. Yes, there's some similarities there, but they've got different needs. They're in different markets. It is that absolute uniqueness to every single client, and digital, I suppose, enhances and really makes that so much simpler from your perspective.
Absolutely. So, on its own, technology can't create that space where we have a relationship with the client. It can't, form that warmness. We have a phrase that we've coined in our space, which is warm digital. And the idea is that warm on its own is great. We can build relationships. And digital on its own technology on its own is great, and it can enable a lot of things. But separately, I think we're finding less value that's unearthed with our clients. But if you put that together, we kind of create almost superhumans, if you will, of our bankers and our front-facing staff. They get equipped with the data and insights they need to know about their clients, even before they engage with the clients, right? We need to know what is important to them, what is happening in their industry, what are their ambitions and targets for growth. And as such, it makes us better able to kind of tailor and package what it is that they need.
And that's a great point you made there, which is this is not digital, this is digital and people, because and they need to work together. And I like that idea of the warmth of it, because either one on its own, it works. But together is where the real sort of power, and to use a cliche, synergies come in.
Absolutely. And I think when we think about digital in our space, I think within the bank, holistically, not just CIB, we've been on a journey on a large transformation, right? So, and that's very centered on modernizing our core architectural stack, but there's lots of stuff that sits on top of that that really enables what it is that we do. So we are digitizing our core, we are focusing on using digital to kind of really influence how we experience, or our clients experience us throughout all their touch points. But it's also starting to play a great big role internally as well. So not just CX, if you will, which is quite a popular term out there, but we're looking at experience holistically. How are we enabling experience internally for employees as well, especially within the sales and service space, has become important. So we want to fulfill on a great promise to clients, but internally it is equally as important in the back to equip, if you will, all our staff with all they need, and digital is playing a great role in enabling us to do that.
And I imagine it's across the entire client journey, from right from the beginning through that entire process. You can't do it in isolation, because you'd suddenly sort of get from a tar road to suddenly a dirt road. It needs to stretch the whole width.
Absolutely, and I'll ask Tasha to jump in and help me here, but across our journey we've had to really truly understand, the journey our clients go through, all the way from awareness or discovery of need to post fulfillment and them transacting with us and us maintaining that relationship. There's specific things that we need to be catering for. There's specific times where warm becomes important and you have to enable that human interaction. And there's other times where the interaction and engagement can be a little bit more commoditized, and digital plays a great advantage for us there. Tasha, I don't know if you want to add to that.
Yeah, sure. I think along the client journey, as we look at it, we have enabling capabilities that will couple and support our client-facing employees, but it's that plus the digital, the employees with the digital that they have to equip them to create those experiences and moments that matter for our client, I think, which is key.
And it's also about the right process at the right point in time. Sometimes the client wants digital, sometimes they want a warm body, and it's managing that in the process as well.
For sure. I mean, there's different channels that a client may use to connect with us, and it's about their preference. And especially in corporate investment banking, it's very relationship based. So that warm experience with clients, with our bankers are key to enabling those relationships. What digital does is it enables them to be even better, to support our clients more efficiently and faster.
Yeah, and it's efficiency, it's fastness, it's need of service. It's no longer the sort of traditional, 8 o'clock to 5 o'clock or something, as the case may be. Business doesn't sleep. Back to CIB, key objectives in this leveraging of digital. What are your sort of objectives that you're looking to, where you can look at and say, this is what we're trying to achieve, and then down the line you can look back and say, done?
Sure. I think unfortunately, that's not an easy question. I think if it was easy, I think my job would be out the window. But I think of transformation as a continuum, right? I think if you ever get to a space where you think you're completely digitally transformed, you have to ask them some deep questions to yourself as a business. But I alluded to it earlier on. I think at the core, we really need to kind of modernize our stack from an architecture perspective, tech architecture. And that's really for two reasons: enabling us to fulfill on our promise to clients right now, but I think also more and more so to make sure that we're ready and are competitive in the future in the long run. So I think that, to the core, I think is a big one. The second, I think I'll split into two, and I think in my mind it's all about our promise to the client and the service and product that we promise to client. And that, you can think of it as playing a front stage role and a backstage role. In the front end, technology, or digital rather, is doing a lot of things, right? We just stood up our CX capability a little over a year ago, and technology is helping us fulfill on that experience promise, right? So we're shaping experiences, deeply understanding the journey that our clients go through, intentionally putting up specific touch points where it's relevant and right for clients. So digital is helping us actually present a face or a front to the client in a way that matters, in a way that supports the warm digital concept as well. It's also, I think, more and more helping us shape the products that we sell as well. We talked about CIB being quite bespoke and tailored to clients, but there is still an opportunity to use digital to shape what that looks like, what transactional banking looks like, what property finance and property management could look like with a digital flavor on it. So there's a great deal, it's a big role that's playing in the front stage in terms of what we sell, how we engage with the client. But more and more, I think we're placing great emphasis on the back end as well. So beyond just enabling optimizations and efficiencies, which, digital is great for as we digitize stuff and automate processes within our business. It's also more and more starting to play a role in us enabling great experiences internally. So we talk about sales and service, but as a salesperson, as a banker, if I'm going to speak to a client, I need to know who they are, have they raised any queries, what are they buying from us, what's important to them, what does the strategy for the client look like? So I'm having a really pointed, relevant conversation with the client and establishing a space of trust. But also from our back-end employees as well, if you are, managing calls or service requests, do you have the systems and the tools to help you do so? Do you have what you need to kind of respond to a client very quickly without, causing frustrations or more friction in the space? So it is playing an immense role in helping us really enable that service, both in the front or the face that the clients see, but more and more so internally to do better, but also to create a great experience and great feeling from our internal staff as well.
And I'm sure it's dynamic. I mean, I asked about objectives. Imagine you and your team, you sat down, you've got objectives, you start the journey, and things become a little dynamic. I mean, you try something and you're like, okay, we could tweak this. Or, one of the team members is like, this is great, but what if?
Yes, absolutely. And it's coming across in a lot of the lessons that we're learning. So in this capability specifically for sales and service, we are, the biggest objective that we've been pushing for a while is implementing our CRM application, which, Tasha's capabilities running with. But with that, as you've said, there's a lot of dynamism that's coming up of things that we haven't thought about that we need to now kind of tweak our approach to kind of cater for and make sure it still works. A good example I can give is traditionally our business is kind of set up in clusters. So there's corporate investment banking, there's corporate banking, which used to be called business banking. There's almost a SBS portion as well.
Wow.
And if you think about it, a client could start off as a very small business. They can migrate and become a larger business, and they can grow and evolve to become a large corporation. But as we set up our CRM, it was almost quite cluster focused, where there's almost seeing it as separate businesses. But we are now learning that we can't actually look at our clients that way. They go through a journey of evolution, and how we've set them up in the back needs to kind of support that journey as well. So lots of learning that's coming across and is tweaking our approach to this whole capability as well.
And it's about feedback from the team members, and I imagine also from your customers who are saying, that was a great experience, or perhaps that was a little bit prickly and it can be smoothed in a space.
Yeah, for sure. We have to look at it, as you say, along the whole client journey. You can't look at it in isolation. And when you look at the whole client journey, you look at it in terms of when clients are at the beginning, as they're exploring our products and services, we need to have the necessary capability and the client intelligence to understand how, is this client a lead? Is this client a prospect? Is this something that are our products or services applicable to them? And as they move along their client journey, from as they explore to as they consider our products and services, our products and services, can it meet their needs? How do we get it to meet their needs? Because as we said, CIB is about clients have bespoke needs. So how do we get our products and services to be applicable to our clients, and understanding their needs is so important. This is where digital comes into play, because digital enables that understanding and gives us a view also across industry, slicing and dicing across industry to understand what's happening in the industry, trend analysis from our products and services that we also offer, as well as coupling that with understanding the client, understanding their client plan, understanding where they targeted their strategy, what are they looking towards doing. And after we move from understanding what products and services we should be offering to them, how do then, if they commit to our products and services, how do we then look at originating? Do we have the capabilities to take that forward? What is it that we need to improve? And after they start utilizing our products and services and transacting, have we onboarded them correctly with their products and services? Is that a seamless process for them? And when they're using their products and services, is it seamless? And where digital plays a significant role is around transacting. We know our clients, as you say, Simon, it's not an 8 to 5 job. Yeah. They want digital tools to enable them at 24/7, not at a specific time. And how do we provide those necessary capabilities to ensure that they're able to transact seamlessly with our Nedbank tools and technologies that have been created for them? And then when they need support, and if they have any queries or need help, how do we ensure that we're supporting them timely, being able to resolve all the challenges or that they face? And as we continue our relationship with them, how do we deepen that relationship? We need to have technology in place to better understand our client, to understand the product and services that they have, that they're using, their transaction history. All of that becomes so important to understand the client holistically. So I think along the whole client journey, it's these capabilities that we need to make sure that we enable, but enabling them for our client-facing teams to support them along that journey. And I think, as you say, it's hard to say you're going to do absolutely everything at the same point in time. You have to prioritize key moments that matter to the client as well. Yeah. So that's also part of when we look at the initiatives that we're driving, what is the most critical that will enable clients to have the best experiences, the key moments that matter. And we know specifically from a transaction perspective that that's a key moment that matters to them, and how are we looking at improving our Nedbank Business Hub to be able to fulfill on those needs for our clients.
And it's about, if you know the client well and you understand their needs, I mean, you know what they need. I mean, if I'm not in the bank, I'm one of your clients. I do things. I'm not aware that there are products and services. Perhaps maybe I'm doing importing and I could be hedging the currency. It never occurred to me because I'm a widget maker and this is not my area of expertise. And this is what comes up from your system that says, hang on, we can see a client doing currency transactions. Perhaps we've got a product that fits in and actually makes their life better.
It's about that, creating a level of to be more proactive than reactive towards our client needs as well. Definitely.
Yeah, it is that. I think you're right. It's that proactive. It's offering rather than they're waiting for them to come and say, please help me.
Yes.
You say, hey, we can help you with something, and that comes back to that feeling of warmth, delighting clients is what matters so much.
Absolutely. I do think, though, there is an element to that. So we are being proactive, obviously. Mm-hmm. The more info we have, the more we can synthesize and be a little bit more intentional about what we're sending to you and what we're engaging with you about. But there is also a big part that we've had to kind of pull, right? So as part of our CX capability, there's lots of work that we do in terms of engaging with client, less proactively to kind of service, but more proactively to kind of pull information. So what are they finding as friction points? What are they finding as not working? Where can we improve? And CRM and our sales and service capability then acts as an enabler for all of that we're receiving from clients, right? So we now can tweak our service model, we can tweak our service channels, we can tweak how you get onboarded or taken on from a project, from a product, or as a new customer perspective. So it is both a little bit proactive, both from a servicing perspective, but also just from pulling insights that could help us shape how we service a little bit better as well.
And it's partly as well, again, it's about speed of process as well, in that you're able to respond so much quicker, you're able to more quickly perhaps anticipate needs as well. That's a critical part. No more fax machines.
Yes.
Consistency of that experience. I mean, you've talked about CX. I mean, consistency is so hugely important. I take out my mobile phone, I click a button, I expect something to happen, and the same thing needs to happen every time. How much of a challenge is that in the process?
It is a little bit, and I think I'll explain a little bit why. So, as I said earlier, it is quite bespoke with each client, often quite tailored in what it is that we give to them in service. And that can create a bit of a muddy space where you're trying to fulfill engagement for clients in very different ways, which can be quite tricky to fulfill on and consistently do across our business. So it has become something that we have to be intentional about. So consistency kind of plays many different roles for us. I think it's consistency across channels. So whether you're on our mobile app, whether you're on our NBH kind of online platform, whether you're speaking to a banker, the experience should be the same. The kind of knowledge and intimacy about you and what it is that you're actually trying to do should be consistent and should be the same. Whether I'm talking to someone on the phone, whether I'm logging the service requests on my mobile, I should be quick, it should be responsive, and I should get the same level of service. So there is that element of consistency that we've had to work hard to fulfill and deliver for our clients. There's also a second element of consistency, which is across our different clients. Are there opportunities where
the service experience and service expectation is the same, and we can create consistency and excellence around that, right? Where lots of clients are expecting the same thing, we can collect that information and tailor and shape our journeys and experiences to make that level of consistency excellent and promulgated across all our clients as well. So it has been tricky. It's something that we're constantly kind of churning through, trying to get right, but absolutely.
The last couple of years of pandemic, of course, much of the world has suddenly discovered digital. But my understanding is this might have been sort of implemented during pandemic, but actually the process predates it. And if anything, the pandemic was probably a really great learning ground.
For sure. I mean, we started our enablement journey, which was focused more so on our customer relationship management tool pre the pandemic, and we were able to, and we started the journey, and the need as to why we started the journey was because our different teams were working in silos. Our different product areas had separate sales pipelines. We had a separate servicing tool to our sales tool, not having that single view of the client. If I click on a client record, am I able to see all their sales, or their opportunities or deals, and am I able to see everything that's related to their servicing? It was very hard to find within a single view, and that's what was a journey we started a few years ago. And pre-pandemic, we launched with our services module, which was the start of our CRM journey, to be able to provide a consistent case management functionality. And Kateko talked about consistency, and we enable that with the relevant business process flow, that it's a standardized, refined business process flow to manage servicing, and to be able to provide clear and dynamic decision trees. Decision trees meaning clear and dynamic call categorizations on how we categorize client requests, and how does that go within to resolution. Are we escalating correctly? Are we providing features like service level agreement functionality to be able to ensure that we are within range of meeting the client's needs? So we started the servicing journey pre-pandemic, and we then thereafter started our sales journey of implementing our sales tool. And here again, getting a single sales pipeline across each of our different bespoke product and services was quite a challenge in itself. Across the different product teams, how do we get a single sales pipeline? Every product area had their own uniqueness, and we had to find a way to ensure that we have a single sales pipeline from the time we have an opportunity that's a lead, to qualifying that opportunity, developing, implementing, and then closing out an opportunity for the client. Creating that single sales pipeline was key across our different product areas for sales, and what are the necessary information that we need across all the product areas that could be applicable. And what we found through that process is that there's uniqueness in each of the different products, and that we do need to cater for that uniqueness per product as well, but also have some level of standardization around how the sales pipeline process will work. The challenges that we faced with that was significant in terms of getting that single pipeline view, and I think what it provided was more efficiency in terms of how we look at our client and understand our client. Understand a client is not just purchasing a single product to service, it's across the different product areas. So understanding the client holistically in the sales journey, understanding what are the different products and services, and that providing efficiency. Also, the CRM tool that we have has helped us to better maintain client relationships, being able to manage different activities for our clients, and understanding not just their client plans, but also understanding when was the last time we've met with the client, what were their key requirements, have we fulfilled on those, and if we haven't, we better make sure that we do. From that perspective, so on our CRM journey, I think the challenges that we faced was for sales. Definitely, we had to launch during the pandemic, and we had to transition from traditional learning and change management techniques, which our employees were more comfortable with. Classroom-based training, as an example, was one of them. People were a lot more comfortable with with that feeling of knowing they're in a classroom, knowing that they're learning, and we had to transition to a very virtual environment. Virtual training became so important, making sure that our training collateral was robust enough, and we had to create training videos, making sure we understand each of the different business scenarios for our users, so that our sales and service employees were equipped to be able to manage their interaction with clients when they utilize the tool. We had to also ensure that it was not something that they had the necessary support as well through the process. So it was definitely quite a transition on how we had to focus in the ways in which we worked. And it talks also about digital, how digital internally had helped us do that. Being able to conduct all our trainings online, to be able to have all our virtual launches and provide support online, even allowing our different users and teams to be able to test out the tool in little war room sandboxes, to be able to help them and have the necessary war rooms, so that if there were any challenges or improvements to be made, how then do we look at those improvements?
You mentioned products a lot there, and when you're initiating the process, it's difficult because you've got the products and they were designed in I won't say a pre-digital area, but certainly a pre-digital strategy at the level that Nedbank CIB is now focusing on. New products coming, however, they're almost looking at this as the goal, and that's going to be so much simpler a process. So when I'm thinking of a product, when a team is out there designing a product, part of that process will be, well, how does it fit into the strategy? How does it fit into the sales channel? And it makes, down the line, it's so much easier.
Yeah, it's more seamless, and it's a consistent way in which we engage with the client, agnostic of product.
Yeah, it is it's consistent, and then that perhaps is along with bespoke, and that's almost the twin dynamics. One is it's bespoke, which means different, and then the other is consistent, which means same. And it's that challenge of bringing those two together. What were some of the challenges, aside from obviously the pandemic, which you've chatted of, some of the challenges of bringing the CRM up?
The one that pops into mind, we talked a little bit about, Tasha talks a lot about understanding and knowledge, and I think if you think about that, that's data, right? And the goal around our CRM is being the central hub where you can click a button and have a beautiful, holistic picture of a client. Now, as we evolved on our CRM journey and our sales and service journey, more and more data points are becoming available and need to be integrated into this picture about a client that forms a holistic view. And I think, when you start on your journey, you think, this is what I'm going to do on CRM. But as we grow and as we evolve, we want bigger pictures. We want to think about where they're going to be, what does the client strategy look like, and how is the consumption of my product, and is there opportunity for me to save them money from moving money from there? So that requires more and more data to be integrated and to be included in this picture of a client. I think that's been a challenge, but a good challenge. I think challenges cause conflict.
Yeah, challenges are bad.
Conflict, no, of course not. But out of this conflict, I think we are creating something really beautiful. So I think thinking about long-term, what the end picture is going to be about a client is important when you start your CRM journey, because it's never going to be a static space. So you build it in such a way that you can always take on more. You can always build this growing picture of your client that adds richness and a lot of context, which I think helps when you're engaging with clients. So that's one. The second, I think I mentioned it early on, which is, viewing your clients in silos, especially with such a layered business as our own. Sometimes our business rules and how we see our business can inform how we the picture we build about a client. And they don't really care that there's 3 or 4, boxes that we fit ourselves into. They want one seamless, consistent experience. How we develop and how we configure our CRM has to reflect that as well. So I think lots of learning in terms of, Tasha talked about pipelines. It sounds quite simplistic, but within our space, just within CIB, there's 3 or 4 businesses that exist and are holistic on their own. Their pipelines are important to them, but their pipelines aren't necessarily in consideration of the business as a whole. So we've also had to learn to see our clients slightly differently, see them more as a juristic entity, if you will, that can be serviced by any component and part of our business, and that service needing to be informed with the right information about the client and being consistent in terms of being quick, being responsive, etc. So lots of little learnings, but I think instead of it being negative, I think it's helping us shape something really special for our clients.
Yeah, and as you said earlier, it's that never-ending journey.
Absolutely.
If the journey ends, you've made a mistake somewhere.
Absolutely.
It continues on. And it's also, it's both external and internal. I mean, external is your clients, but internal, it's the colleagues, it's the different teams. And this gives everyone a better understanding and insight of how they can potentially fit together, where they can fit together, and where they can, again, to use the word, those synergies that exist, the relationships internal as much as external.
For sure. I mean, it's definitely helped getting our sales and servicing teams closer because they're viewing the same information. I mean, barring, information that's privileged for a certain confidential information. But for our sales teams to better understand servicing, what is happening with the client from a servicing perspective, what are some of the challenges that a client might be facing through their servicing journey as opposed to only understanding the sales journey. So it's brought that aspect together, and it's helped. I mean, when we look at our sales users and our teams, that the bankers that go out to engage with our clients, it's helped them to have a better understanding of our client, improving the relationships with the client because they have this better holistic understanding. They understand the client needs, they understand how the client, what products and services the clients have taken up, where there's a possible need. They also understand where the challenges that the clients, what are the challenges that the clients have in their servicing experiences, or what are the items that they need assistance on. So it's bringing that level of understanding that's so key in the engagement that you have. You're not just having a sales discussion with the client, you're having a holistic discussion with the client around their needs, fully. So I think that certainly has helped the different teams. And I think where the tool has helped our servicing teams is really putting in that streamlined process and being able to understand that this is the process flow that any client issue will follow, and these are the enabling escalations that we're able to put in the process, the service level agreements. And something that I didn't mention earlier, Simon, is we've been able to also reduce a lot of the manual input for our servicing teams, and to an extent where for field services, which is work order management, we've been able to automate the scheduling of work orders. So it's really provided a lot more efficiency for our teams so that they have enough time to support our clients.
Yeah, and then it comes back to, and you mentioned it's the dynamic. A client starts with you, and it's a two-person business, and one day they're a top 40 company. And that's that ability to adapt and grow with them and facilitate their growth.
Absolutely. I think Tasha talked about it a little bit, and I think it's manifesting in our sales teams. So rather than imagining all they have is a transactional account with Nedbank CIB, we now are expecting everyone who's involved with the client to actually be a bit more informed. What else are they buying from us? What else are they consuming? Is that consumption working for them? Is it leading to an oversubscription in terms of price because of that? How else should we shape this in a way that creates more value for them, but also still creates value for us? So the conversations around offers and opportunities for clients is completely changing. I think it's becoming a little bit more collaborative. It's bringing lots of people together, not just from a technology perspective, but we're also now having to think about our engagement models and how we team around client to make sure that we're providing value to them. So I think it is starting with technology, but reshaping us as well in terms of how we see and how we make sure that we deliver on value to client.
We'll leave it there. Congrats on the journey so far, and all the best for the journey which lies ahead, because as you both point out, this is not over yet.
No, it's not at all. Thank you, Simon.
It goes sometimes. My pleasure. We've been chatting Nedbank, a corporate investment bank, talking their digital strategy.
Growth is pointless if business can't navigate turbulent times. That's why we aim beyond the next quarter to power resilient business through the next quarter century, yielding new confidence in Africa's future and stronger sectors on her soil. So in this world of uncertainty, do you want a bank that talks sustainable growth or a bank that walks sustainable growth? See money differently. Nedbank Corporate and Investment Banking.